Everyone, this is Mrs. Hinton. Yes, it's kind of weird seeing me at home and not in class, but this whole week we're going to be learning our lessons from home. So I thought since I am at home, I might as well introduce you to a few hairy friends of mine. This is Sunny. Say hi, Sunny. Say hi, everybody. Well, anyway, Sunny's very sweet, and there's Baby. If you can see him, he's not very excited about getting on my lap because he wants to play with Sunny, but Mommy's got Sunny. Did you hear that? I told you he was feisty. Baby likes to play, and even though it sounds bad, really isn't. He just likes to talk, and he likes to fuss too. So, oh, there he goes. Bye, Sunny. All right. Well, anyway, you've met both of my hairy friends here at our house, and hopefully maybe you can introduce me to your puppies later on when you send me some videotapes of you working at home. Well, today I am going to read to you from this book. We just got them in, and it's called The Civil War. And you have one of these in your book box. And you will see that in the table of contents, we have chapters 1 through 7. So that's what we're going to be working on all week next. So these 2 days and the following week, you will finish this unit on Civil War. So the fun thing is that you have your own book, and because these are brand new and the children after you will be using these books, you want to make sure that you take care of them. And so I've already given your parents a list of ways to take care of your book. So make sure that you read those rules so that this book comes back to me nice and shiny. All right? Let's go ahead, and we're going to read about the Civil War. Now, I'm going to let you hear me read, and then you can read on your own so you can catch more of the facts, because you'll be writing about this later on. All right, if you'd like, get your civil rights book out, and you can either read with me, or you can just sit and watch and listen and look at the pages as I turn them. It's going to be up to you, whatever you'd like to do. I'll give you time to get your book. Just waiting. All right, hopefully you have your book now. Slavery in the United States, Chapter 1. What is slavery? Slavery is the practice of owning people and forcing them to work, often without pay. Slavery existed in ancient Greece and Rome, and sadly, there was once slavery in the United States. Yes, right here. Let's see if we can find it on our map. Here's Canada, and there's the United States. So unfortunately, we have a history of slavery here. In the 1600s, Africans were enslaved and forced to come to America to work. Most enslaved Africans work on large farms in the South called plantations. The slaves' children and grandchildren were enslaved too. And so it went across the years, one slave generation after the next, born into enslavement with little hope of freedom. So here's the pictures. So enslaved means that these people were captured and taken to a place without their consent, which means they did not agree to go. They were forced to go. And then they were forced to work. And you're going to hear more about that. Some enslaved people lived in the North, but fewer were needed there to work. However, in the South, the demand for slaves grew with the demand for tobacco, sugar, and cotton. Slaves were needed to plant and harvest these crops. Tobacco, sugar, and cotton not only made some powerful Southern plantation owners very rich, it made America rich too. Some Southern plantation owners lived in very grand homes, and they had lots of slaves. In the northern states, over time, slavery was no longer allowed. So, are you starting to understand why we had slaves and why it was so difficult for Americans to stop slavery? It was because, why? Why do you think? Do you remember what we read? On page 4, it said that tobacco and sugar and cotton was in great demand, meaning many people wanted these items, and they were willing to pay for them and get more and more. But when you need something or when you want something, then the producer, the person making it, has to quickly find a way to get as much as possible because they were needing to meet the demand. People wanted it, and so they had to produce it. So one person can't do all that work all by themselves. So then they had slaves, tons of people that would come and work for nothing and have to produce as fast as they could. And then the owners realized that, wait a minute, this is a great idea. We need to buy more slaves because they work really hard and they work really fast. And when you have a lot of them, then you can produce more cotton, you can produce more tobacco, you can produce your crops much faster. And that's what happened. So the more they made, the more money they made. So that's why it was very important. And some people did not agree with that. They believed that all of God's people were important and they needed to be treated equally. And so there were some great problems with this having slaves. So you had one way of thinking and another way of thinking, and they were not the same. So when you have conflict, then there starts to be a struggle, and then that struggle booms into something greater. So you will find out more about what will take place after they begin showing signs of this struggle between both ways of thought. We're going to stop here on page 4, and I'm going to give you a chance to go back to a spot that's nice and quiet and read chapter 1 through 4. And you're going to think about what you just read and what I just talked about. And then we will come back and read page 5 together. It was great reading with you. Bye-bye.